I remember walking through the exhibit hall for the first time. You sort of glance down at badges, you know, when you're walking, and I was like, Vic Firth. Oh my gosh. Honestly, I was so young. I'm not sure I knew he was a person.
Yes.
I thought he was just a drumstick.
Yeah.
Right, so I'm like, Vic Firth, a person?
Hi everybody, my name is Huei-Yuan Pan from Ensemble Block. We're here in Indianapolis closing out PASIC 2023 with the Percussive Art Society. I have the great fortune of being here with Julie Davila, who's on faculty at MTSU, Middle Tennessee State University. And Julie is also our president of PAS. Julie, thank you so much for taking the time to do this with us.
Oh, thank you.
It's so great to see you, and thanks again for everything.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah. Can you tell everyone who's maybe watching who hasn't heard of PAS, like what is Percussive Art Society?
So Percussive Art Society is an international organization. It's actually just like a really cool, hip percussion club that you want to be a part of. Yeah. But yeah, it's the Percussive Art Society is the home basis here is in Indianapolis. PAS was established in around 1961. It formally started having conventions. The first convention was national, so our acronym was PASNC, and that was 74, I believe. And then in 1976 became the acronym of PASIC, which we know of today as our annual international convention. But PASIC, what a lot of people don't understand, is one of the premier programs of PAS. So PAS is our organization, and our annual international convention is one of our premier main programs. So yeah, it's a pretty remarkable organization, as you know, and as I know. This is, I believe, out of the 48 possible PASICs that you could attend. For me, I'm on 38. I missed a few having kids and family things, but it's been really remarkable. My first one was in 1985, and it changed my life. And I hope I'm seeing a ton of young people here today and this week, and I just really, I feel that energy. You know, I feel that excitement, that ignitement, that igniting, and I know that's what it did for me.
Yes.
Just really, really hopeful.
One of the things that you did that was so cool to see was, I can't remember which showcase concert it was, but you asked all the first-time attendees to stand up, and the community outpouring of support for the first-time attendees, that was so cool to see. And then the second thing was you invited people to stand up and sit down based off of how many years they had attended, and to see all I think it was 40 years and up.
40 years and up, and we had one.
Got to go up to the front, and one was
John Beck Sr. has attended 48. Yeah, all of them. Amazing. And you know, honestly, that group of 40 were a lot of who's who in percussion. You know, Craigie Zildjian and Gordon Stow, and you know, it was pretty remarkable. I think for me, it's really important, you know, to recognize the first timers, and we had a lot of them. It was massive. And then to actually have them feel a sense of what it means to be a part of this organization when they can see somebody that's attended for 40 years, or even as it was sort of dwindling, even 20 years, you know, and I think PAS is so much about community. And when we brought the 40 plus members in the 40 club up, I really wanted that to feel endearing to our membership, and to hopefully those first timers will want to be a part of that type of legacy.
Yes, absolutely.
So yeah, it was really heartwarming. It makes me tear up a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. And just to see so many of your heroes standing up there. My first introduction to PAS was as a beginning percussionist in 6th grade, as many students start out in middle school band. And one of my instructors, Lou Bolderghini, who's watching this. Hey, Lou. He said, "Hey, you guys got to get hip to this. This PAS." We were like, "What is PAS?" And he's like, "Okay." And so he basically had sign-up forms for all of us. He said, "Hey, take this home. Everyone, take this home to mom and dad. Get this filled out. Bring a check back for how many dollars, and sign up, and we'll all be in the PAS Percussive Art Society together."
Yeah.
At 6th grade, and I was like, "Man, that's so cool." And the organization has done so many things to make that even more accessible for schools.
Sure.
What does that look like for a school that wants to sign up their studio?
Man, that's a great question.
Yeah.
So we have a couple of things. We have a group membership for schools, secondary, like high school, middle school, high school groups. And we actually have a new program this year where we've created that same type of benefit to studio teachers. So, studio teachers around the country that maybe have their own studio of, a bunch of students, private students. But it's honestly, it's an amazing deal.
Yeah.
And I hope that it continues to grow. We're seeing great growth in it because a lot of people are recognizing the benefits. But, with the group membership, it's $250. All your students are then members of PAS. The main instructor, teacher, receives also their membership, their professional level membership. So you've got your students, yourself, you get a hard copy of Percussive Notes magazine for your students to enjoy and learn from, and a masterclass or a clinic from, we have a community of great performers, educators that have volunteered their time to do a clinic for, any of the group members that we have. That could be virtual. If you even want someone international, we can make that happen.
Yeah.
But it's, so if you think about, by the time you would get your own membership, pay someone for a master class or a clinic, that covers that, honestly.
Yeah.
And then the freebie, to me, the benefit is all the students are able to become a part of it. They utilize the website. We have a new website that will be launched in May, and so it's going to be more interactive, easier to navigate, and just give those students a chance to introduce PAS, So, yeah.
And the thing that maybe you don't know as a sixth grader coming into it, and I certainly didn't know this, was coming to PAS, you get to see all the titans of the art and of the industry all in one place. It really is an international audience converging in one city over this 3-4 day period, which is like, how else would you get this many stars to show up in one spot? It's really remarkable for young students who are learning the craft and trying to develop their own musicianship and where their place is in the community.
Well, if I could just speak on a personal level to my first PAS, and I was maybe 19 or 20, and I remember walking through the exhibit hall for the first time, or down the hallway, and you sort of glance down at badges, when you're walking, and I was like, Vic Firth. Oh my gosh! Honestly, I was so young. I'm not sure I knew he was a person.
Yes.
I thought he was just as a drumstick.
Yeah.
Right, so I'm like, Vic Firth, a person? Remo Belli, same thing. Remo drumheads, didn't know the story, Tom Float, Fred Sanford, Dennis DeLucia, Lee Howard Stevens. I was at the University of North Texas, and that particular year we were very involved performing at PAS. So our graduate ensemble was performing, and Lee Howard Stevens and David Friedman were guests. Wow. So they were on campus a lot that semester. So I'd come swinging around the stairs to go down to our rehearsal room, 142 UNT people. 142. And all of a sudden, like, Lee Howard Stevens is passing me with a cup of coffee. And I was like, what is this life I live?
I know. Is this real life right now?
Is this real life? Happening? Yeah. But what was honestly cooler than that is, just getting to actually rub elbows and see these people. But all of them were real people and so willing to stop and have a conversation, meet you, ask you your name. And it was just like, I just knew at that point that this has to be a community I'm a part of. Yeah, it was something special. So
that's such a sweet story.
Yeah.
I ran into somebody who, maybe this is only their second or third. They're, I think, an undergrad in college right now, and we were just talking about something, and he's like, there's so many famous people here. I feel like I'm looking left and right. I'm just constantly being starstruck. I was like, I was you 20 years ago. I'm here. I'm still constantly being starstruck. Yeah. We were having dinner the first night we got in. We were sitting there eating. And I looked up and Steve Houghton was walking by. I was like, oh my gosh, it's Steve Houghton. And I didn't say anything. And I was like, okay, just keep eating it. And then he walked by a second time. I was like, I have to say something. And And that happened with Garwood Whaley. I mean, I could go the list of this PASIC in particular. And everyone that, like you said, that you stop and take a moment. I always feel like I'm inconveniencing them or bothering them, but all these people have made such big impacts on me from a distance, whether I'm studying out of their books or seeing their master classes, and just getting a chance to say thank you or say a few words and let them know how they made a big impression on you. Everyone has been super nice about it so far. That's happened. Maybe they grumble after I walk with it. No, I'm sure they're super sweet.
They enjoy that.
Yeah, they're so nice.
They're humans, and I think what was really fulfilling for me and validating. I don't think I've met anyone in our community that wasn't just a good human.
Yeah.
To be honest, so it's like so reassuring, particularly in the climate of our world today, and so reassuring to know that you kind of have this safe place.
Yes.
And what it means. They could be the highest icon of the highest icon, and they're still a great person.
Yes.
And I think that means a lot. Because they could easily not model that.
Right.
And I just see so much consistency in our world, in our percussion community, that's one of the takeaways, you know.
The vibe, I think, of this convention, as you mentioned, just like conventions that you go to or even like niches of whatever work or art you're doing. This one in particular is just so warm and welcoming, and everyone has kind of been in everyone's shoes at some point. And I know I'm probably for both of us, like, there have been so many people who have opened doors for us or made introductions along the way. And someone said, oh, you did this or you did that. And it's like everyone is just building and standing on the shoulders of the giants that came before us.
Yeah.
So I have to ask you, how does someone go from attending their first PAS at 19 and 20 to becoming the president of PAS?
Yeah, I pinch myself, literally. I was standing on stage last night going, what is happening? I'm so grateful. I shared with the University Student Committee my story yesterday, the college students, and they were asking me a lot of advice about, like, how do you, just taking advantage of opportunities, and how do you, same kind of question, how'd you get from here to here? And I just mentioned a couple of the qualities that I thought is important for anybody in any field, and that really helped me is like showing up and being a good person and following through. And literally, I felt like that's what happened. So I started attending as a young student a couple of the committees. We have a lot of committee meetings. We have 16 committees at PAS, things like world percussion, education, keyboard percussion, marching percussion, symphonic, all the 16 committees. And those meetings you can attend. Any member can attend, right? So I was interested at that age in marching. And so I went to the marching committee meeting. Well, the first marching committee meeting I went to, not too shabby, Tom Hannum, Dennis DeLucia, Fred Sanford, it was like a who's who. So not only did I love being in the meeting, I was like, you are amongst the giants, and it's pretty special. And I just kept showing up 2 or 3 years to that and building relationship. They kind of started seeing me a lot. And actually in high school, I went to a camp where Dennis taught, and we got to interact. So I kind of had a little bit of connection. And then, an opportunity, somebody said, would you like to join the committee? And really in that situation, they're looking for people that are really passionate about a subject and that will do a little volunteer work and show up and follow through, And so I was honored, and I accepted, the invitation to join the committee and sat on that for 4 or 5 years. And honestly, a situation happened where one of the committee chairs couldn't finish their term, and they were looking for someone else. And what's interesting about the marching committee chair position is that it is probably one of the busiest chair positions here at the convention, because there's so many things, so many moving parts, there's so many things that are happening. So if you're the marching committee chair, you don't actually get to see a lot of PASIC. You're just running events and organizing and logistics. And so I think they went to me and went, you want to do that? She'll do it. And I was like 27, I think. And I was a little, intimidated by that, but I was like, you know what? I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out. I know these people.
Learning on the job, right?
Yeah, and the committee is so supportive, and I knew I had help. So I accepted that, and I spent almost a decade, nine years in that position. and met a ton of amazing people, learned a lot about the behind the scenes for PAS and PASIC, and brainstorming how to continue to make things better every year. I'm really like, I'm a nerd about that. I'm always like, growth mindset. What can we do better?
Yeah.
And so I really enjoyed that process. Stepped down from that. I think I took maybe a year off or two of volunteering and leadership, because all these positions are volunteer. And then I was asked if I was interested in joining the board of directors. So I did 2 terms on the board of directors, which was amazing because basically I sat in the room and listened. I did a lot of listening. But I would sit next to Neil Grover, who is running $1 million company. Like, you learn so much about just industry, not just percussion, like finances that you can apply to your life, and we're, all the people in the room were like way smarter than me, and I just soaked it up and tried to contribute when I could. So I 6 years on the board of directors, and then I think I took a couple more years off. And Julie Hill, my good friend, asked if I would. She actually asked me like 3 times over the course of the years if I would be interested in joining the executive committee. And the first 2 times, my kids were still super busy and involved in their lives. I didn't think it was the right time. And then as soon as my youngest graduated, it was like, so I said yes, and it was awesome. So when you're on the executive committee, it likely will be a 10-year term. It's like 2 years as secretary, 2 years as second vice president, which in that position you become the liaison to the committee's chairs. And then 2 years as president-elect. And in that position, you are the liaison to the chapter presidents. So at that point, then you've kind of built some community relationships with all the other leaders at PAS. So, and you get to know the committees and the chapters. So then becoming president, there's some continuity there. And that's a 2-year term. And then probably the lightest load is the past president. It's the next 2 years. You're just going to luncheon, and there's some phone calls. I've actually reached out to probably 3 of the past presidents in the last 9 months, a few times. Amazing. Just for some mentorship and some, hey, this came up, and there's a lot of, sometimes it's moving PAS as a barge. So we have an initiative or an idea or program. That could be 4 years to actually bring that to fruition at the level we want to. So that could have been 2 past presidents ago when we started. So for continuity and just mentoring and moving the barge, I think it's good. I think it's good to have that past president group to reach out to.
So in a lot of ways, when we spend so much time learning and developing our percussion skills, PAS, from the sounds of it, is also this leadership, executive mentorship model for people who are volunteering in these committees and working their way up as well. I was joking with Professor Zader, Brian, that he said, I'm going to the past president luncheon. I was like, do you guys have it's like the SNL 5-timers club, like swanky velvet jackets that you only wear when you go to the luncheon? He's like, yeah.
Actually, it's not a bad idea. I got 1 more year left. I can implement.
Well, what he said was like, how do you know we don't already have those jackets?
That's hilarious.
But wow, and so learning those skills as you come up through, because I can imagine myself when I was an undergrad, and when I came as my earlier PAS environments, you're usually tagging along with your professor, and Thomas Burr would bring us, and you would see friends that maybe you were in the marching activity with, or friends that you grew up with in high school or at different universities, and it can be a little intimidating at first about, okay, where do I start? How do I get started in here? But seeing other friends like Thad Anderson, who I went to school with at UT Austin as well. Yeah. I mean, I was joking with Thad. I was like, Thad, you've been preparing for this since you came out of the womb. He's amazing.
He's so good.
Thad was a professor.
Yeah, he was a professor before you.
He came out of the womb as a professor.
Right.
But Thad is amazing.
We love you, Thad.
Yeah, and he was on. I remember he was on the collegiate committee when he was in school.
Yeah, he's a great example. I mean, serving on committees and the follow through and reliable. And honestly, when his name started coming up, those were the qualities. Like, wow, he's a great guy, good communicator, really professional. The student committee was asking me this. just take baby steps. It's not a race. Like this, what did I say, 38 years, and 26 years have been committees, board of directors, executive committee. You know, it's a slow process, it's a build, and you know, just get involved in committees. I think the other really great thing about PAS and the Percussive Arts Society convention is the opportunities as students to be involved in competitions, individuals, applying for scholarships. You know, for me, the first 4 PASICs meant so much because I was playing at some capacity. You know, I was in individuals, or I was with the drumline, or, you know, playing in a master class. And that's when it kind of feels really special to be a part of it and not just consuming. So there's tons of opportunities. And then I really want to encourage everybody to get involved with your local chapters, your state chapters. And there's great opportunities there, in person, and now with technology, virtual. Just take advantage of all the opportunities.
Yes. Well, Julie, I got to tell you that as someone who maybe has moved out of the student role, but seeing things work and hearing you explain it a little bit more, there's so much work that is happening behind the scenes in order to have an event like this for people like us to come and just enjoy and experience things. So I'm sure on behalf of the entire community, thank you to you. Thank you to everyone that serves on those committee chairs and positions, and the chapter presidents.
And the PAS staff, and I mean the full-time staff, and Joshua Simons, our executive director, who's a phenomenal leader. It does take a village, a huge village. I'd say there's 100 volunteers, you know, and a decent-sized staff, and we're just so grateful. I mean, they're worker bees.
Yeah. We first met, for context for everyone who might be watching, we first met, I think, in 2013 or 14. You were the guest artist at Phantom Regiment for the summer camp. And I was there on staff, and I had, you know, played out of your books for many years, and had students use them in solo repertoire. And I was like, oh wow, Julie, and and of course heard your judges' tapes from groups that I've been. I was like, I never know if that's a good dog. That's great. I was like, wow. And again, you're like kind of starstruck. You're like, oh, Julie, that was coming. And you were so great about incorporating the staff into the camp with the students. And so we're playing with them. It was just like such a energetic feeling, and you brought so much life to that camp. And I taught that camp before in other capacities, and but the thing I remember the most was the day before you left, after the campers left, you came out and you actually talked to the members.
Oh, right, yeah.
And
after they tracked, and then they came back up, and you're like, Julie, you got anything to say?
I think I put you on the spot, but just seeing you talk to the group and be so motivational and inspiring. And we've kind of just kept in touch over the years as you've been into Los Angeles, and
I think we cross paths in Beijing when.
Yeah.
Remember you were leaving, I was coming, and you're like, Julie Davila.
Julie, looks like we're gonna miss each other just by a couple hours. You're landing in Beijing as I'm leaving. Let me know next time you need a Beijing travel buddy. Good luck with all your clinics and judging this week.
Well, the next time she gets invited and she needs an extra body, she's gonna give me a call. We'll go together. Seeing this and kind of having this moment together, you know, we'll have this video to look back on 10 years from now.
I'm so humbled and grateful. It's so great to know you and to continue to get to know you over the years. And you're one of those good humans, and you're a go-getter.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's been inspirational to see your path in developing this company, and talk about follow-through.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah, you're amazing.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. All right. Well, thanks so much, Julie.
Thank you.
I'm gonna give you
Okay,
a
let's
hug
do it. I'm going in for the hug.
All right.
Thanks so much.
Happy PASIC 2023, everyone. Make sure you reach out to your local chapter, sign up and join today if you haven't already. If you have any questions, where should we go to find out more information about it?
We can go to pas.org. There's also a PASIC.org when it comes time for convention every year. But yeah, go check out pas.org. We've got Instagram, we've got Facebook. Personally, I have Sister Jules is my kind of handle. So on Instagram, I'm Sister Jules. Facebook, I'm Julie Davila, Julie Sutton Davila. So if you have any questions about PAS, feel free to reach out. I'm an open book.
All right, thanks everyone.
Thanks. Go Ensemble Block.